The interesting thing is that you feel in that moment that you can't do anything else until something wakes you up. And for Julie, it got to the point with her kids that something woke her up and challenged her to take a different approach. And this is what I'm going to raise as what I call a new leadership mindset that I call redefining the game. And for Julie, this is where you start questioning, do I really need what I thought I needed to prove I was successful? Do I need it to come from outside? Do I need to have that vacation, the home, the car, whatever it was I set my targets on? And you start asking your own criteria, your own currency for what you measure as success, right? And in this case, Julie went into a period of intense soul searching. Oh my God, my kids don't like me. This was all for them, right? How many people make compromises because of kids? Compromise at work. What would you say? It's a pretty good number, right? Most of what I hear is a mortgage and kids. It's the reason people feel like they have to play along with the game. But she went into this soul searching and said, you know what? I started wondering why I thought so much about what other people think of me. I started realizing it came from a sense of personal deficit, and that I was looking for this approval from outside. So it was a psychological need more than actually needing a bigger house or a better car or more vacations. Once she recognized that, she reclaimed her own sense of authority. And the next job she took as another executive at another company, she took them through hard times, but she said she did it the way she thought was right, that came from her sense of natural authority. And she made a decision that for her, being a professional meant also being a good person. There were a number of people, I think it was a huge pattern in the interviews that I listened to, and that I spoke to people about, that they made this shift to realizing they had more freedom than they thought. They weren't as stuck as they thought, and that they could make this choice. And then once they did, they actually ended up reinforcing their courage. And that's one of those things about courage, right? When you take a risk, you actually do something, you kind of, I can do this. And especially as you do more of it, then you get skills for it. And some of the things we assume that are not possible, people actually completely blow your pictures about that. I'll give you one example of somebody that I saw redefining the game that was, I have deep respect for this fellow. He was a junior loan officer in a global conglomerate that had a financial services arm, making loans on apartment buildings. And he had a loan for an apartment building in a neighborhood that was never going to be able to pay back the loan, right? In the recent economy, he would have taken that loan, right? And tried to sell it off and would have gone from there. But he said no. He said, I'm not going to do this loan. Well, it turns out the father of the person applying for the loan was really high up in government and was friends with the chairman of the company. So he got a memo handed down. This was long enough ago that it was a paper memo with red ink all over it. Who the hell is holding up this loan? Let's get on this right away. Why are we stalling on this? 5 levels of executive down to him. Make this loan. What would we have done?
We're going to lose money, we're going to lose it, so as long as you're willing to eat the $200 million or whatever it's going to
right.
be, then we can
lay out the trade-off for him. And that's one good way to do it. The play the game approach would even be a little more soft pedal than that and say,
play the game approach.
No, that's more the redefine. There are many of us who would say, I'm a junior loan officer, I'm in my first year, I'll just do the loan. But he redefined the game. And what he did was he laid out the trade-off, but he did it slightly differently. He said, I'm not going to make a bad loan. I made a commitment when I signed this company to help the company. This is not in the company's interests. But I would love for you to show me where I'm wrong in my analysis. And they went through 4 committee reviews, and every one said, you know what, it's a bad loan. And it ended up floating back up to the chairman of the company. And he said, fine, got it. Can't make the loan. Went back to his crony, said, you know what, we shouldn't have taken that loan, right? So here's someone way down in an organization who was able to influence all the way up. And I think that probably rippled through multiple other decisions because he was able to do that.